Chapter 1. The Royal Hostage. The year is 1442, and you are born into the royal family of Wallachia. Your dad is a member of the Order of the Dragon, which is why your family name is Dracula, meaning son of the dragon. But Wallachia is caught in a deadly sandwich between the massive Ottoman Empire and the Kingdom of Hungary. To keep his crown, your own father literally hands you and your younger brother over to the Turkish Sultan as human collateral. You spend your teenage years locked in an Ottoman fortress. This isn't a nice boarding school, it's a psychological survival game. You watch your brother adjust and become the Sultan's favorite, while you refuse to bend. Every single day, you watch the Ottomans execute prisoners using a specific, horrifying method: wooden stakes. You memorize every scream and every detail. While you are locked away, Hungarian nobles betray your family, bury your older brother alive, and murder your father. The Sultan lets you go, hands you an army, and says, "Go take your throne back." You return home as an 18-year-old psychopath with one goal: pure vengeance. Chapter 2. The Deadly Easter Banquet. You finally secure your throne and become the Prince of Wallachia. But the wealthy boyars, nobles, who murdered your family are still sitting in their palaces, laughing and plotting your death. You know you can't just arrest them. You need to change the rules of the game. On Easter Sunday, you invite hundreds of these corrupt nobles and their families to a massive, luxurious royal feast. Everyone is eating, drinking, and thinking you are just a naive young ruler trying to make peace. Once the dinner finishes, you stand up and ask them a simple question. How many princes have you betrayed in your lifetimes? Before they can answer, your loyal guards storm the hall with heavy ropes. You don't execute the older nobles quickly. You march them into the freezing mountains to build your massive Ponary castle. They literally work until their expensive clothes rot off their bodies and they drop dead from exhaustion. As for the younger ones, they get introduced to your favorite childhood memory: the wooden stakes. Wallachia instantly learns that the new prince doesn't do second chances. Chapter 3. The Golden Cup and the Burning Shed. Your country is completely ruined by poverty, high taxes, and wandering criminals. You decide to implement the ultimate zero-tolerance law enforcement policy. To prove your point, you place a solid golden cup right next to the main fountain in the center of the capital city. Anyone can use it to drink water, but it must stay by the fountain. In a city full of thieves, the golden cup stays there untouched for years because everyone is terrified of you. But you still have a massive population of sick, poor, and homeless people who can't work. So you host another massive charity dinner, inviting all the beggars, cripples, and thieves into a large wooden hall. You feed them the best food, give them endless wine, and ask, "Do you want to be free from all your earthly suffering?" They all cheer and scream, "Yes!" You smile, walk out of the building, lock the heavy wooden doors from the outside, and order your men to set the entire place on fire. Problem solved. No more poverty in Wallachia. Chapter 4. The Turkish Turban Affair. The Ottoman Sultan, the most powerful man in the world, sends a group of official diplomats to your court. They demand that you start paying them a massive annual tax and bow down to their empire. The diplomats walk into your throne room, but they refuse to take off their traditional turbans in your presence. When you ask them why, they arrogantly reply, "It is our custom. We never remove them for anyone." You look at them, nod calmly, and say, "I highly respect your beautiful traditions. Let me help you strengthen them." You order your guards to grab the diplomats and pin them to the floor. Your blacksmiths walk in with heavy hammers and long iron nails. You literally nail the turbans straight into the diplomats' skulls so they can never remove them again. You send the bleeding bodies back to the Sultan with a simple message: Wallachia does not bow. Chapter 5. The Anatomy of the Stake. This is where your nickname, Vlad the Impaler, becomes a legend of pure horror. You don't just kill people. You turn execution into a precise, twisted science. Your favorite tool is a thick wooden stake, but you strictly forbid your executioners from making the tip sharp. A sharp tip kills too fast. Instead, the top of the stake is completely blunt and oiled. Your men drive the blunt wooden pole into a victim's body so carefully that it slowly pushes past their vital organs without piercing them. This keeps the victim alive. The stakes are then lifted vertically into the air, forcing the person's own body weight to slowly slide them down the pole over the course of several days. People hang there under the hot sun, fully conscious, begging for water, while you sit at a dining table right underneath them, casually dipping your bread in bowls of food and enjoying the view. Chapter 6. The Torture Playground. Your sadism reaches a point of absolute madness, and you begin treating your courtyard like a dark amusement park. You develop unique torture methods for every specific group of people you dislike. If merchants try to cheat on their taxes, you boil them alive in giant copper cauldrons. If women are unfaithful, you cut off their body parts and force their family members to eat them. You regularly invite guests to lavish outdoor dinners, where the perimeter of the garden is lined with hundreds of dying people on poles. To make the spectacle even crazier, you sometimes order your guards to impale people in specific geometric patterns or at different heights based on their social rank. For Vlad, terror isn't just punishment, it is visual art. Chapter 7. The Forest of the Impaled. The Sultan is absolutely furious about his nailed diplomats, so he mobilizes a massive, unstoppable army of 60,000 elite Ottoman soldiers to crush you. Your army is tiny, so you have to use psychological warfare to its absolute limits. You utilize scorched earth tactics. You poison your own water wells, burn your own villages, and retreat into the forests. One night, you disguise yourself as a Turkish soldier, sneak straight into the Sultan's main military camp, and start a chaotic massacre, nearly killing the Sultan in his tent before vanishing. But your ultimate masterpiece happens right outside your capital city. When the massive Turkish army finally arrives, they stop dead in their tracks. Stretching for miles in front of them is a literal forest consisting of 20,000 impaled Ottoman prisoners. The bodies are rotting in the sun, surrounded by thousands of crows. The sight is so utterly horrifying and sickening that the Sultan, a man who conquered Constantinople, turns his entire army around and retreats in pure disgust. Chapter 8. 12 Years of Prison Rats. You won the psychological war, but your terrifying reputation makes your neighbors very uncomfortable. The King of Hungary betrays you, intercepts your letters, falsely accuses you of treason, and locks you in a dark dungeon. You go from a legendary warlord to a helpless prisoner in a cold cell for 12 long years. But your psychotic mind never stops working. Even inside a cage, you find a way to practice your favorite hobby. You catch mice, rats, and small birds inside your prison cell. You carve tiny wooden splinters and miniature steaks using leftover scraps of wood. You spend your days systematically impaling prison rats on tiny sticks and lining them up along your cell window, creating a miniature version of your famous Forest of Death. Chapter 9. The Deadly Ambush. Eventually, the Christian European kings realize you are still the only military weapon crazy enough to fight off the expanding Ottoman Empire. They release you, hand you a brand new crown, and send you right back to the bloody front line. The year is 1476, and you are back on the Wallachian throne for the third time. But your comeback is incredibly short-lived. You are completely surrounded by enemies, fake friends, and assassins on every side. During a chaotic battle against the Ottomans, you ride out to a hill to survey the battlefield. Suddenly, a group of your own soldiers ambushes you from behind. Some historians say it was a Turkish hit squad in disguise, while others believe your own men assassinated you because they simply couldn't take your madness anymore. You are brutally hacked to pieces on the battlefield. Chapter 10. The Honey Jar and the Vampire Legend. Even though you are dead, your enemies want to make absolutely sure the nightmare is over. The Turkish soldiers locate your corpse on the field. They cut off your head, pack it carefully into a jar of sweet, protective honey to keep it from rotting during the long journey, and ship it straight to Istanbul. The Sultan takes your preserved head and displays it proudly on a massive wooden stake right in the center of the city for the entire public to see. Poetic justice for his diplomats. Your headless body is buried in an unmarked, mysterious grave in a remote island monastery. 400 years later, an Irish writer named Bram Stoker reads a tiny footnote about your family name, sits down at his desk and writes a book called Dracula. You wanted to be remembered as a fierce, iron-fisted defender of your homeland, but history turned you into a fictional comic book vampire. You died at 45,